This week on Storytime at the Rue Bus, we're talking with Andrew about the confirmation thread and who might be playing 2026. And also, Sharla has the Hear Me Out cake. You'll have to see it yourself to understand.
Welcome to Storytime at the Rue Bus, a weekly podcast about Bonnaroo and other festivals. I'm your host, Sharla.
It's Daniel. And hey guys, if you're watching on video, we're back in the bus again this week. I'm going to be transparent. I've been working an event this weekend. I was gone Saturday and Sunday. I got back and it's already starting to get dark. So here we are in our makeshift studio again. How you feeling, Sharla? You had a good week?
Yeah, I had a pretty good week, just working a whole lot. I know you've been working.
Yeah. It's been tough, but I do love my day job. It's been a lot of fun. I got to go to an air show this weekend and see death-defying plane stunts. That was a lot of fun. I kind of grew up around planes a little bit. My uncle has always been into that. But I haven't really been in that world lately. So seeing these planes doing these crazy stunts coming literally 10 feet off the ground as they swung by was amazing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was so cool. But yeah, it was worth it for that. I had a great time at the air show. What have you been up to?
Oh, just everything, Daniel. I've been up to everything. Just getting ready for everything at work and so much stuff going on and getting ready to start up our totem season, really.
Yeah. Speaking of which, if you're watching this shortly after release, we hope that you can come out this Thursday at Campus 805 here in Huntsville. We are holding an after party for the Sack Squat show. So as you probably know, he was supposed to play Rue. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. But he's playing a free show at Campus 805 this Thursday. And I'll put the details down here at the bottom if you're watching on video. And we have his blessing to host an after party over at Straight to L, one of Brooklyn's places. That's where Brooklyn works at. I don't know why I'm saying that. I was going to say that's one of her haunts, but she haunts over there even when she's not working. So that is accurate, I suppose. But if you go over there to the patio right after the Sack Squat show, we're going to have a small little thing for Totem, basically just to get together. We hope to see you there. So come out this Thursday to come hang out with us after we see the Sack Squats, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a live DJ and just learn more about Totem and spread what Totem is doing and spread the goodness and the awareness of Totem.
Yeah.
But for this episode, we have a really cool game that we're going to play, and we've got some other cool stuff coming up.
Yeah, so we're going to talk with Andrew and maybe some of the crew that he works with for the Reddit confirmation thread here in just a little bit. Many of you know that has been the source to go to for the past couple of years if you want to see what is likely to headline and other artists that we're likely to have. They've got a pretty good track record. It's not always perfect, but it's pretty darn good. We're going to talk with Andrew and his guys about like how they put that whole thing together and what is possible and maybe even kind of hopefully likely for next year in 26. But to start us out, Sharla has something a little fun for us. So explain, please, while we have a cake in front of us.
Okay, so you guys have heard of the Hear Me Out cake. So Hear Me Out cake is usually when you talk about someone who is maybe unconventionally attractive, but you would find them attractive. Would you say that's fair or accurate?
I think that's fair. Give the best example you were talking about earlier.
Okay, so the first one I ever saw was these girls on TikTok, and the girl made a cake and she put a little character in it, and it was, hear me out, the dad from Inside Out.
I can see it.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. Also, 10-10, for sure.
I would say my hear me out when it comes to that is Tilda Swinton.
Okay.
You have to consider that one for a second.
I saw one, it was a couple doing it, and it started with the man, and he put, hear me out, the number 8.
Now,
Just think about that one.
She mentioned that earlier, and I did have to think about it, but
I'm going to be honest, we had to start the entire video over. But ours is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be, hear me out, artists we want to see at Bonnaroo.
That may be unconventional.
That may be a little bit unconventional. That's not necessarily going to be on a wish list or a possible list or maybe list or something like that.
Yeah, so this is going to be very video first. So Patreons get first dibs on this, of course, while we're still kind of like in production mode or beta mode, whatever you want to call it, for a new video podcast.
Our ground rules were there are no rules.
Okay. We both might get a little wild with this then, I suppose.
So it's not who we're attracted to, it's artists we want to see at Bonnaroo.
Yeah. Well, maybe both. We'll see. All right, so this video we'll go out to Patreons first. It'll go on our Discord second. And then we are starting to put the videos on YouTube listed now. They were unlisted at first. So if you're just listening to this, we encourage you to watch the video when you get the chance because we're putting pictures in a cake. I know that's probably hard to picture if you're just listening, but you'll see what we're talking about. All right. Who's going first?
You, because it was my idea.
Me. All right. So, oh gosh, my pictures got a little mixed up here. All right. So me and Sharla have no idea what each other has. I think she may have snuck a peek at one of mine, but
I didn't recognize who it was.
I have no idea who you have at all. And we each have 10. We're going to go back and forth. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
All right. So I'm going to show you and then spin it around in the cake. Number 1 for me, the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh.
You probably can't even see my face now.
How is that unconventional?
Well, I just feel like...
We saw them last year.
Yeah, I know. But I'm starting out slow on this. Hello, can you see me over this? All right. Yeah, I know. We'll figure it out as we go. But I don't think they get talked about a lot as a potential headliner, and I think they would kill it as a headliner. So that's my number 1, the Smashing Pumpkins. And you know what I'm going to do?
Okay.
You can probably not see us very well, so I'm breaking these sticks as we go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
put them further
my number
in the
1,
cake.
the Smashing
It's
Pumpkins.
It's a pumpkin cake, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because I was going to start out and go like real...
No, I'm starting normal, but getting crazy as we go.
Oh, okay, because I was going to just go all in. Okay.
All right, what's yours?
One of my favorite 90s artists, I was going to go with Tracy Lawrence.
Of course you would.
You know, Texas Tornado, Alibis.
Oh my gosh. Wait. So where would you put him in the lineup? And I'm going to like fix these as we go so you can actually see us on video.
I have no idea.
Tracy Lawrence. All right, you're going to have to start with Corey about that one. All right, next up for me. This is on purpose. All right, so you didn't give me a lot of rules on this. So we could potentially be talking about Plaza Entertainment as well.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we were to get Billy Corgan and the Smashing Pumpkins, we could potentially have something that he also does, NWA Wrestling.
Oh!
So Sharla and I went to a Smashing Pumpkins show a while back, and between shows, between the openers and the Smashing Pumpkins, you could go to a wrestling match. And I think that would be so fun to have out in the plazas. And that's his company, so if you were to get the Smashing Pumpkins, you could get the wrestlers. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, next up for you.
Okay. Also from the 90s, they are actually being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year.
Oh my God.
Salt and Pepper.
That would be a great throwback act.
Okay.
I love it. I'm going to fix this for you.
Yeah, no. Look at it. Look. I got the one with all three. I've got Salt, Pepper, and DJ Spinderella.
You know the second thing that makes me think of? There's this famous SNL clip of Patrick Stewart introducing them.
Ladies and gentlemen, Salt and Pepper!
Next up for me, Skylar, this one's for you as well. Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem from the Muppets.
I think multiple people have asked for that.
All right, so they were at Outside Lands some years ago. It is possible. I don't want to like tell people that Santa isn't real, but they have like a big platform that they're on, so the puppeteers are underneath it, and they literally play music. It's amazing. I would love to have them. You're up next.
Okay. I think this person is, I lost them.
Uh-oh.
I think this person is one of the greatest artists of not just our generation, but of all generations of all time.
Yes.
They're playing in Decatur in a month. Mr. Marty Stewart.
And his fabulous superlatives?
And his fabulous superlatives. And
well,
he
fell.
Cake.
No, we saw him play with Old Crow maybe 2 times, actually.
I've never seen him.
We saw him.
Oh, we saw him?
In Chattanooga at the Soldiers and Sailors Auditorium.
Okay.
He played with Old Crow. He is probably the best mandolin player alive, I would argue.
You know he played Crossroads in Huntsville?
I did not know that. All right, Tracy Lawrence is going to have to get out of your line of sight over here. All right, next up for me. This one's a little out of the ordinary. Hans Zimmer.
Oh.
Now, this is, if you're watching, this is a picture of Hans Zimmer playing the guitar, but
I've seen a lot of people ask for that.
he brings the whole orchestra to play like all these great movie soundtracks.
I've seen a lot of people ask for that.
All right, you're up.
Okay. I forgot to print this one, so I'm just going to say Sex Bomb.
That's a fictional band.
I didn't say it couldn't be fictional. I said there were no rules.
How would that work? I mean,
There are no rules.
Are you going to bring like Michael Cera on stage? I'm fixing your cake. I mean, that would be, I'm not arguing. That would be amazing, actually.
I said there were no rules.
There's no rules
I have one
here.
that's,
You didn't tell me
Never
it could be fictional.
I
like
said
not
there
a
were
real
no
band.
rules.
Oh, gosh. Well, gosh, if we can bring in fictional bands that
You
don't
haven't
really
blown me
exist.
away yet. I'm still waiting for.
I know. Well, if we could have that, what about like Stillwater? If we can have like fictional bands.
I thought about that, but I don't want to.
All right. Next up for me, the Goo Goo Dolls. I have been begging for them to play for years. We saw them in Nashville about a month and a half ago. Blew me away. Amazing
Yes,
show.
obviously.
They have returned to complete cultural relevance this past summer for whatever reason. We were at Campus 805 that we were just talking about last night, and there was a cover band that played like a harder version of one of their songs. It's amazing. I would love to have them next year. Your
Okay.
turn.
All right,
Let's go.
and I'm going. Two of mine got stuck together.
Okay, here we go.
Two of mine are doing it. All right,
What's this?
Jewel.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that idea. Here, we'll put her in the back since she's pretty tall. So Sheryl Crow had like a very good reception when she played Rue twice, and people have been asking for Alanis Morissette. You don't hear requests for Jewel, so that is a very good hear me out. I like that one. All right, again, we're talking about potential Plaza Entertainment or other things. So hear me out. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh,
So here's my case to be made for Dr. Tyson. I have always said for years that Rue should have some type of entertainment on stage, potentially at the what stage, between shows. It's wild to me that it is completely dead for an hour. Yes, some people will go to other stages to see things in between, but a lot of people just camp out. Wouldn't it be cool to have somebody just do like a fun lecture like he could potentially do? Hear me out. That would be so fun.
you don't know who this is, probably.
Okay.
Mato Wauti.
No, I do not know. Can you tell me?
Yes, he is a rapper, an indigenous artist. He did the theme song for Reservation Dogs.
Oh, I do know of him. Okay, yes, that's a good one. All right. Hear me out. Tame Impala sound system. Because everybody wants Tame next year, but nobody is talking about having Tame Impala sound system. Yes, Kevin is DJing a lot these days, but that's basically Kevin just taking pre-recorded tracks and putting just a little spin on it as he goes. If you have Tame Impala sound system, you have half the band that is doing like a fun electronic jam, obviously similar to LCD sound system. If you're going to get Tame, also do that.
Hear Me Out's supposed to be funny stuff. Not like.
Well, no, well, I got some more funny stuff.
All right, Hear Me Out. Sugar Ray.
I would actually really, really enjoy that.
Except I
You know,
better-
it's not just Mark McGrath. It's
I know,
yeah.
it's a bunch of people, but that was a funny picture, so.
That is, wait, I'm going to do this.
it's
He's
not-
going to be like peering over right here.
I better not get threatened by no corn dog, hot dog, whatever.
That's a long story. We'll tell it sometime. All right, next up for me. Newfound Glory.
Oh, that'd be dope. Are they still together?
Great. Yeah, I think so. Great. Hope you guys can still see that. It's getting crowded up there. Great early 2000s band. Great pop punk band. You don't hear a lot about them anymore. I would enjoy it.
Okay. Nobody's gonna know who this is, but I'm hoping that Skylar knows who this is.
Her second call out tonight.
Nobody's gonna know who this is, but maybe Skylar does. CC Bloom.
I do not know who that is.
Tapping and singing her way into our hearts. Nobody's gonna know who that is,
Okay,
but
I
I
will,
hope Skylar does.
I will look her up. It's getting crowded up here. It's
Sings
starting,
the glory of love.
it's starting to look like the Sgt. Pepper's cover up here, man. All right, last one for me. You probably knew this was coming. Creed.
Wait, how did you? I have two more.
I don't know.
Okay.
But that's just the way it happened. Creed. You know you want to see them.
Yeah.
It
we
would
all
be a
do.
jam. Look how crowded this is
I
getting.
have two more.
Creed would be the perfect throwback act to have on a tent. Well, they couldn't do a tent. They're pretty big.
All right, somehow I have two more.
All right.
All right, hear me out. I've been holding this one in. Afro Man.
That would be fun.
Afro Man.
Yeah.
Do you hear about when his house got raided?
No.
That was crazy. Look it up. All right, my last one. Hear me out. We want some snacks in Center Road. Snacks in Center Road.
Oh my God. Okay, you did have a very unconventional one. Look at this. This is getting ridiculous up here. Are we actually going to eat this cake as well?
I mean, I might take a bite.
I might take a bite, but no, it has turned into a complete cake. I don't know how you ended up having two at the end.
I don't know.
Whatever. I think you accidentally did an extra one. But no, I can see it. So out of mine, which would you most like to see?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be so fun
That'd be
to have
fun.
like a fun talk on stage in between shows? We kind of sort of did that years
But
ago.
also Creed.
Yeah, that would be fun. Out of yours, I think I'm going to say Sugar Ray. Like, I know that's a little cringy, but it would be so
the point.
fun. Yeah. I
That's the
mean,
point.
I'm not going to throw any particular...
Not Afro Man?
that would be good too, but me personally, that would be such a fun throwback. Like, late 90s stuff is in vogue right now.
Do you know how hard J-Bone would go if Afro Man was there?
Too hard. He would become viral for the third year in a row. Oh my goodness. All right, I love the cake. This was a fantastic idea, Sharla. I think maybe we should do another version of this sometime.
Okay.
But we got to think this through. I would love to hear and potentially see whatever everybody else is hear me out for this. I'll ask Andrew when we interview him as well.
Okay.
All right, so speaking of that, why don't we go ahead and jump into that? We're going to talk to Andrew about the confirmation thread, and we'll be back with some other stuff here in just a bit. Hey everybody, I am happy to have Andrew back on. It feels like you were just on here, like 3 weeks ago or so?
A little over a month, I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Though. Before all
Well-
the Tame Impala stuff came out, though.
Oh, well, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to get to the lineup thread here in just a little bit, but I have some questions for you first. I think anybody who has listened before may know that you are a rambling wreck. Were you on the field when they rushed it after the field goal the other day?
I was, yeah, that was a good time. So, yes,
Yeah.
I had a good time Saturday seeing. Well, I grew up a South Carolina fan, so it was much more enjoyable to watch beat Clemson. So I was definitely on the field after that.
Going to ask, how does that work out? You live over there growing up, and then you move to Atlanta. Like, how do you change allegiances like that?
Well, I mean, South Carolina and Tech kind of share rivals. It's just like you kind of swap the primary rival for the secondary one. So I mean, I don't know. I kind of like the city more. So.
Yeah, makes sense. Other thing, you guys have Shaky Knees coming up, next week?
I still don't have a ticket, so Caitlin or any other person I've entered a giveaway for, should help me out. So,
Well, who would you want to see if you did make it over there?
I think Sunday has the most artists I'm interested in. The problem this year is there's just not like an obvious headliner I'm interested in. So, I know MCR is headlining, but I think Sunday has like Alabama Shakes and Weird Al and Vampire Weekend. So a lot of the secondary acts on Sunday.
Yeah,
That
was.
I wouldn't quite ever buy a ticket for, but like I would definitely see at a festival like Bonnaroo or something. There's a couple that stack on Sunday that will at least get me to buy it from some bum on the street trying to resell wristbands. I shouldn't call them bums because they're just trying to do their thing. But yeah,
Vampire
that's kind of
Weekend
my
is the
plan.
one. Vampire Weekend is the one I wanted to see, but Sunday is tricky for me because I'm saving my off days at the day job, and it would have been really difficult to get back after that. I had gone to Shaky on Saturday when I did it for one day, the last two times that I went, and I was very lucky that the lineup on those days were very good. You and I didn't know it until years after the fact, but we were in the same crowd, probably like 20 feet away from each other when Tame played Shaky, 2018, 19? Yeah.
I was a little further in back to the right, I think, than you were, just because I was front row for them at the Asheville show 2 days prior, so I was mixing it up a little. But yeah, that was one of I think that was only my third Tame Impala show. So,
Really?
yeah.
Well, you and I were also at that
Mm-hmm.
State Farm Arena show together. I was like 2 rows back, and you were on the floor, right?
Yeah, that's kind of part of a 3-way tie for my favorite Tame Impala show ever. Is that Atlanta one, just because I've been so deprived during COVID of live shows, and that was like the first big show I had seen. I had seen some smaller shows, after everything opened up, but that was the first like top 5 artist in like a big venue that I had seen. It did like the half full glass of wine.
Yeah,
They
that
had
was
some
fun.
other production quirks for that like first leg of the tour that they didn't have later on. So yeah, it was just a great show.
I think my favorite was the Okeechobee show. You hooked me up with one of their crew that got me the set list. I have that framed in my house, so I still have you to thank for that.
Yep. The other two, it's my favorite show I've seen in an arena for Tame Impala. the thing about Barricade for Tame Impala is it's very hit or miss. Like either the crowd around you is going to be great or it's going to be terrible because of everyone pushing on you. So,
Well,
I
I
mean,
hope you have good luck at this New York show you're going to. You never know what you're going to get up there.
I do have a ticket for the Tuesday show. So like the second one, Ticketmaster was horrible last week. I
Yeah, I heard.
made it through the queue in time to get pit tickets, and it just didn't load the map. It loaded like a countdown timer instead. So, yeah, Ticketmaster effed me out of tickets for pit. So I bought one at face value through someone, and then I know someone else who has lower level the day before. So if I don't buy a resale pit ticket for that other day, I'll at least be pretty close up. So
I talked to a number of people that got screwed over by Ticketmaster last week. At least you can take some solace in the fact that you're not alone on that. It's been a mess.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is the first time I've kind of been bitter about the community because I saw some TikToks where people were like, I only know 3 songs, but I'm gonna be in the pit. I'm like, that's what kind of annoys me with Ticketmaster is not even like it. It's just like they just need to revamp like the verified fan aspect of that. Like if you've bought tickets to an artist more than 2 or 3 times, like you should automatically be in the front 10% of that queue.
That's a good idea.
I don't know.
Well, Andrew, speaking of Tame, we should probably talk a bit about potential artists that we might have next year. So you and some of your crew that work on the confirmation thread have been at it recently, right? You guys have gotten that started a couple of weeks ago. You've started to sleuth out some of the rumors, right?
Yep. So before I continue, your resolution on your video is not super high. So are you okay with that? Or?
I will tell you and everybody else with this new Riverside tool that we're using, it will capture it after the fact. So it uploads and I have like the video from both of our end. Yeah, we're transparent here. I'll tell you and everybody how it works. But yeah, tell everybody a little bit about how the confirmation thread works. Like, how do you guys put it together? How do you kind of figure out what's possible for the next year?
Sure. So, I mean, just kind of giving a general rundown first, like, and I'm not the only person who runs this. I don't have the time, especially this year, to run all of it. So, the big thing is kind of collecting enough info to get people above like the speculative tier. So, there's the likely and up is where it gets crazy, but like the plausible, the unlikely, and out have not really changed over the past couple of years to when it was just being run by Rimmered. So those are more just context clues, unless, we have a source. 90% of the artists in those categories is more just intuitive. Mm-hmm. If we notice someone's touring right now and is likely to be touring just based off of intuition for next year, they'll be in the plausible grouping. And then unlikely means they're hitting Nashville, maybe 3 to 4 months outside of Rue, to where it's like right on that border of radius clause, which would make them unlikely. But like theoretically, if they wanted them bad enough, Bonnaroo could still book them. And then out is usually like a bigger artist that is within radius, or they're in Europe. And that's a big thing I'm going to get to in a second, around or during Rue, where the routing itself just doesn't make any sense for them to actually be booked.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
that's kind of
that's something we should expand on a little bit, routing, because a lot of people will look and see that, hey, an artist is touring next year. Surely Bonnaroo is trying to book them, but routing doesn't always make that possible because they may be touring, but they may have a run of dates on the West Coast during Bonnaroo, and it's not so easy for them to come to the farm.
Yeah, I mean, Ariana Grande was an artist that was pushing it in terms of size. I kind of thought like this might be their last chance to book her before she gets to be too big, so she could be like the far and away biggest artist they book. She has some West Coast dates that makes the routing too illogical. I don't even know if we've updated the thread with those yet, but yeah, she was an artist that I was kind of thinking like if they're ever going to be able to book her, like this is kind of their last chance. And she, she's an instance where it's not even a European conflict. It's just, the run of dates, the couple dates that are during Bonnaroo that she has open are like between an LA date and like a San Diego date. And so to truck all that across just to go back doesn't make sense. Now, it's a little bit different with someone like King Gizzard last year where, yeah, they were in Europe, but it was also the end of a leg of a tour to where it's unlikely they would fly across to come play Bonnaroo, but, they don't have any dates afterwards. So they're kind of just like splitting a leg without much incentive. So, Bonnaroo would have to make it up, but they could theoretically book them without their management team just being like, no, that's too logistically illogical for us to do. So usually in that case, they would just want more money or something. But yeah.
So, like, what are the other factors that you're looking at when you're kind of putting artists into these different tiers of like likely, possible, unlikely? Is there anything else that kind of plays into the equation?
Yeah, so that was kind of the bottom half. The first level above plausible is speculative. And I think reasonably likely is the other tag we use on there. We should probably know how we
You're putting this thing together,
likely.
you should know.
I know. Somewhat likely is / speculative. That one is one that, kind of going back to routing, would make a lot of sense for them to kind of loop Bonnaroo in. I think last year Queens of the Stone Age was the very obvious one there. So, I think they had a date in like Ohio and then Missouri with like a day before and after Bonnaroo opened. And it's like, well, you would probably go at least through Kentucky, if not Tennessee, to get to those cities anyway. And there's like an extra date for an extra show that you would put in. It seems like a weird thing to leave 3 days open for. If Bonnaroo's just kind of like in between two cities and there's timing that would allow for it, that's when you get put in at least speculative, if not like a reasonably likely. But generally to get like above that level, so for like reasonably likely, if we're getting multiple people that we've never heard from before that are saying something about a decently sized artist that doesn't seem like they're just trying to get free PR, then we'll throw them in reasonably likely. Or someone that we have had contact with before, we'll also throw them in reasonably likely for. So there are just some burner accounts that like do message the account occasionally that we've grown to trust, and if they say something, that'll pretty much automatically put them in reasonably likely, even if 10 or 20% of the artists they give us end up not being booked. 80% is a pretty good batting average. So
I always wonder if these accounts that are passing information to you may be like some type of insider person, and I don't mean that in the context of like the festival or somebody like that. I always think the metaphor of like Apple leaking information to the Wall Street Journal like a week ahead of like an iPhone announcement or something. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, it's kind of free marketing for them. It's not the end of the world if the fans know a handful of the bands that are going to play even before the Rue clues drop,
I kind of frankly do think the majority of the tips we get are coming from somewhat. Well, I don't want to say anything.
You almost said something. I know what you're going to say. Yeah. Well, all right. This gives everybody a good explanation of how it works. Yeah, I cut you off there before you said something. This gives everybody a good explanation of how you guys sleuth this stuff out. So let's get into some of the information that I know everybody is curious about for this year. We've got a couple of months before, at the very least, Rue clues. Is there anything that you're seeing that you're feeling like, yeah, this is probably going to happen next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's still so early. I know, obviously, we haven't gotten any Rue clues yet. Yeah, I mean, I just haven't seen anyone that's like so obvious. They did drop John Summit as a name when Brad and Corey were on the What podcast, and they were just saying like the way he kind of embodies the Bonnaroo spirit, kind of made it sound like he was a priority to get back. That needs also just like the type of artist to not really route tours as much, but just do a ton of one-offs. So I think he makes the most sense if I were to throw like a name out. And then I'll just go through some of the other names that we have in speculative. Some of these are more driven by Rumored and Ryan, but BB No Money, Flatline Cavalry, The Red Clay Strays, Tyler Shoulders, and Tame Impala are all in there. And I definitely have thoughts on one of those. But
do you?
but again, like at least 2 or 3 of those involve a fest around Bonnaroo that would just make a lot of sense for them to route into Bonnaroo because they're around the same time. And some of those artists were also booked last year, which they said were a priority. So, I think you have to start there. And then I don't have anyone above. I don't have anyone that I've heard from a source that I can really drop yet, frankly. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard, I have tea leaves that I'm not ready to say anything about, but I don't have anything.
So
I don't
I
have
got a
anything
question
earth
for you.
shattering to share.
I got one for you because you know more about this kind of thing than I do. For the past like 5 or so years, even before COVID, I have felt like one of the first tea leaves that you can see about what the next festival season is going to look like is those South American Lollapalooza shows. So they do them in like Chile, I think Argentina. Guys, if you're watching, I'm going to pull up a little thing. We can do screen shares these days. So this is what we're looking at for Lolla in South America last year. So the headliners are pretty typical for all three of them. You've got Olivia Timberlake, of all people, Tool, Alanis Morissette, Rufus Du Sol, Shawn Mendes, and a handful of others. The headliners at all three of these are kind of across the board the same. Have you found that is like a good bellwether of what you could see next year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's still a C3 property. Now the way that's booked is a lot different just because it's not the same continent, especially in terms of like billing and stuff like that. But Orod is someone that they're probably gonna try to get back if they can. I know she was probably one of the more expensive headliners, just based off of how fast her solo shows were selling out. But compared to someone like Tool, who we've already had and didn't sell a ton of tickets, or I think Brad's a big Timberlake guy, but I mean he's not there as of today, actually.
I feel like
as of
Timberlake
recording this.
Timberlake is like a 50-50 for Bonnaroo. Like his star has fallen a little bit. The tour was ruined, as we all know. His music is kind of hit or
Well,
miss
it's
for
going to
Rue.
be ruined. so
Yeah,
go ahead.
but he lives just up the road. He's a Tennessee guy, so there's still a bit of a fit there. I personally wouldn't
I
have
think it's
that
kind of like
big
a
of
Jack White thing. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, like he's still putting out. Well, actually, Jack White's putting out better music than Timberland is nowadays, in my opinion. But it would be a thing where like I would go to the set and have a ton of fun. Would it sell tickets? Because they're probably both headliners, Jack White and Timberlake, and they
Yeah.
used to also be bigger. And that's a thing where like on a crazy good year where maybe they put extra money in because it's like the 25th anniversary coming up or whatever, then
yeah.
if they were just putting a little more money in the talent pool and booking them as a 2, then that would make a lot of sense. But I think Timberlake is more of a stretch at a 2 as opposed to headliner than Jack White, and I don't think Jack White's a number 2. I still think he's a headliner.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty weird because like Jack White is undoubtedly like in my top 3 of shows I have ever seen at Rue. But if you ask everybody, he's a bit of a stretch to be a headliner these days, and I hate that, but that's kind of the reality. But I do think Jack could potentially be a good candidate for this Thursday party that they've been talking about. I think either him or Rufus could be a good candidate for that because like they're almost there. It makes sense to have him on a Thursday where it's not like traditionally a full headliner night. But I don't know. What do you think?
yeah, I mean Rufus Du Sol killed it at Lolla, and that's kind of like why I have trouble pushing them into a 2 spot. Is even though if you go back to that Lollapalooza South America lineup, they are the number 2 on the day, at least in theory. They haven't come out with a day-by-day lineup yet, but just kind of evening people out, they would be a number 2. I have trouble finding many other festivals where the crowd is not. Rufus Du Sol is just a very Bonnaroo act. Like,
Yeah.
they just are, and I don't know how else to put that, but yeah, I mean, I think I could see them on a Thursday if they're trying to get kind of like the older. I hate to say older,
Hey, now,
but like
watch your
more
mouth.
than like the pre-COVID crowd. If they're trying to get more of those people who have been to multiple Bonnaroos back and kind of like getting excited and doing kind of some free marketing for them
Yeah.
again after last year, I think Jack White also makes a ton of sense.
I
as a
agree.
Thursday headliner.
I
So.
think there's a handful of bands like that would be pretty easy gets. The Flaming Lips are another that come to mind for me.
I don't know if they're quite Thursday headliner even on
Well, I wouldn't say that they're a headliner. I would just say they're in the conversation that you were just having about like acts that the olds, as you put it, like it's been a decade since they've been to Rue, and you know they are legendary in a certain age group. They're the type that would get a lot of people that haven't been to Rue to come back. And there's a number of bands like that. They're just the best example that I think I can think of off the top of my head, you know.
All right, I almost spilled something earlier, so I will spill this, which is I talked to a certain someone, and they said that we don't do confetti at Bonnaroo. I
I don't like that. I don't like that.
I don't either.
You can do biodegradable confetti. It is a thing.
Well,
Tame did it the last time they were there.
That's not going to biodegrade in 12 hours or whatever, like they would need it to. But my thing is just like, I know you're coming off like probably some financial constraints, but at the end of the day, like if and when you get tame, hopefully that's this coming year. And again, we're going to circle back to that.
Yeah.
I still think the probability we get tame is very high, but if you're going to get tame, you have to allow confetti. I'm sorry. You like, what is the point? Like, I shouldn't say what's the point.
This is your platform thing right now. You're just like, hey, I like all these bands, but the number one thing is I got to have confetti at the Tame show.
Someone listening to this needs to start a petition, regardless of whether Tame's been booked yet, and say like, allow confetti on this one day at Bonnaroo, and then get anyone else who would reasonably want to throw confetti. So like Flaming Lips, whoever else should. Because even Flaming Lips, like you have to have confetti. Like, what's the point of Flaming Lips with no confetti? So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thing about the Flaming Lips is I think they just haven't been invited back because they stopped doing confetti on the farm.
Well, there's lots of other things.
Just have a day where you blow a bunch of confetti. It'll be okay. Even if it's all isolated to one stage.
Andrew promises to help clean it up.
Yes. Unless there's someone I want to go see, but yes.
All right, well, let's talk about the other headliners that we might get. Like, what are you guys looking at on the list right now?
Well, I think Rufus Du Sol legitimately is up there, and I think Olivia Rodrigo is legitimately up there. It's hard for me. I mean, like, Tyler's a real toss-up, because on one hand, he probably likes being booked all the time and not having to actually play. But on another hand, it's like, at what point, I don't know, that's more of just a question about his personality. From what I've heard, he's like pretty tired of touring, because his management or routing people or agency or whatever, they just booked him out like all spring and summer. And so I think he's a little tired of touring, but if he wants to next year, you know, we might get a Don't Tap the Glass set or something. And then Tame, I don't know if we're ready to fully crack that. I guess I'll go.
Well, let's jump into it. You're the foremost expert on this thing. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so I mean, I have to imagine Tame is going to do something with festivals next year. The vibe I get is this fall tour is like mainly a promotional thing. There's no way he doesn't tour Europe. And there's no way the DJ sets he's doing with Justice in Australia are meant to satisfy this whole album cycle. At minimum, he's doing some tours that are routed around festivals next year. The concern I have, and this is true with every artist, is will they prioritize Bonnaroo over some European festival routing? That I don't know. Like, if they get a Gov Ball offer and they get a, you know, Bonnaroo offer and they get some other random offer, you know, maybe that's enough to dissuade them from doing a European leg. But if they're doing a European leg, then, you know, Primavera, I know Glastonbury is a fallow year, but there's still like Download Fest. There's a bunch of fests that could afford Tame Impala that you have to worry about.
Glastonbury being off this year change the equation for like a big artist like that staying over in Europe? Like, are they more prone to stay in the States?
Well, so a couple years ago, I think it was 2022, Tame Impala played Forecastle and Hangout.
Oh, yeah.
And
I was at that Forecastle show.
Yeah. They did like 4 or 5 US dates, and then they split the leg, went over to Europe for the back half of it. I don't think it was Glastonbury, but they did some other festivals. Maybe it was even Primavera.
I can't remember.
I don't know. I'd have to double check. But they did some European festivals on the back half of the leg. And then they actually came back to the U.S. to do a private gig, but that's a whole different thing. I don't think that really plays into it.
Yeah. How much did you pay for that one, Andrew?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I wish I had. God, I don't know what it would cost to get a private gig, but
we need to
let's
raise $1
just
million.
assume it's over $1 million.
We need to
fundraising.
raise that $1 million to have Tame Impala Sound System play the Wednesday party.
Yeah, I mean, if someone in the Bonnaroo community just won the Powerball, let me know, and I'll even sign an NDA just to make it happen. But yeah, no, I mean, I do think Bonnaroo is going to be competing with European festivals. That's just true of every artist every year, unless they've already routed it out and just we haven't heard about it yet. But I think my thing is, if C3 gets them for more than like one other festival, it's going to look pretty bad if Bonnaroo doesn't get them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
if they just get them for like only ACL or only Lala, or in fact, I'm gonna knock on wood here and say like a Shaky Knees since I'm in Atlanta. There's a lot of C3 festivals. I could see like a one-off, and people not losing their mind. But like if Govball gets them and we don't, there's gonna be hell to pay. Like at that point, Bonnaroo just needs to like make the lineup suffer a little bit.
Yeah.
To justify getting Tame and pay them like the extra revenue they would have. If you have to pay Tame twice what you normally would have to get them, like if the optics are that bad, I think you might have to pay them extra, which I wouldn't be opposed to, because then we might get a special set or an extra DJ set or something. So I think the probability we could Tame is high. I'm at that point where like I started to trust that we were getting them a little too much, and now I'm nervous.
Yeah. It is tricky because there are so many factors at play that put pressure on Bonnaroo to make this happen. Like they need to make a good PR splash after what happened with the rain out last year. We were supposed to have Tame 2 years. They're continually the most requested artist. They're touring now that a new album is out. Everything is falling into place. So I don't know how else to phrase it. It will be an embarrassing L if they don't get them. And I think everybody will be right to call them out on it if they don't, Like, I think it will take a degree of transparency from them if they don't, to say like, hey, this is why we don't have them and why we'll continue to pursue them in the future. Like, it will be an
I just
elephant
need
in
to
the
hear
room
that
if we don't.
C3 has booked them for at least 1 or 2 other festivals, and then my worry about them not being booked will drop a little bit. I just heard that they were gonna start touring again a couple months ago. It's like, oh, for sure Bonnaroo is gonna get them, but I look at these European fests and that's what scares me every time. So
okay, we could do a whole episode on Tame stuff. Before we get
I mean, this goes back into routing, which I was talking about earlier. And this is what some of the artists are out right now, talking about like Metallica. I think it was one of them. There's just artists that tour in Europe, and this goes. And my biggest argument I voted to keep it in June, but the biggest argument to move it to September was never about the weather, in my view. It was about routing. And I mean, I think we're gonna get Tame. I'm not too worried about it. I think my anxiety would be lower if I
understand what you
had
mean.
heard some more inside scoops by now. And I haven't. So
the thing that got my anxiety was that survey from about 2 or 3 months ago, where there were a number of artists, like probably like 2 or 3 dozen artists that were in the list. Like, hey, which of these would you like to see? And Tame was not in the list. And I'm just like, what does it mean? What does it mean? Like, that kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, my guess is just like they've probably made an offer and they're like, they just know they're gonna either get them or not, and they're just waiting.
That makes sense.
Like, yeah.
All right. Again, we could do a whole thing on Tame if we really wanted to, but let's look at some of the other artists, maybe some of the subs that you're looking at that are possible.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is kind of where it's still pretty early in the season. I could just go through a mock lineup of artists I want to see. John Summit was the main one that just seems obvious to me. Justice acted like they're not going to be touring again after December or whatever. I know they have a North American leg later this year. But I don't think we'll see Justice. Class Animals, if the vibes aren't questionable from them being canceled twice, would make a lot of sense. They're going on a lineup I'm coming out with soon.
Don't tell Shayna that.
Yeah, so my Thursday, I have a co-headliner of Casey Musgraves and Glass Animals, which I do think is too expensive for a reduced Thursday. But I do think I think they co-headlined like a little tiny fest up in Colorado. I think that would make a ton of sense for them to co-headline
I can
that
see
Thursday
it.
at Bonnaroo.
I can see it. They're both
So,
very Rue friendly.
yep. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, we'll have to see about some of the others like Queens of the Stone Age. Hosier tours a crap ton. We'll see if he's a headliner. He was kind of the stretch one this year, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I guess I can say
Rufus
this
Soul,
now.
I think it's just too big to be a sub headliner
Yeah.
at this point. I think they're
So-
going to be a headliner.
Before we move on, you brought up Hosier. Like, I think I can safely say this now that it's passed. Like, the way that I heard that originally, like, as things were in the works, was that Vampire Weekend and Hosier were theoretically co-headliners, even though what we would have had was Vampire Weekend closing out The Witch on Sunday night, and then Hosier closing out everything, which I think is reasonable. So I do think co-headliners are possibilities.
You
where
think they
don't
could go
have-
back to like a 1-2 punch instead of like 3 on the top line?
Yeah. Well, I
that
mean,
would make sense.
if you have two at the top of their day, and maybe neither of them are far and away like non-controversial headliners, like if
Well,
like
what I was-
somebody like a Paul McCartney is not like nobody's going to question that. But when
Yeah.
you got like two acts that are pretty high up there, but not quite at the apex, but when they share top billing, that's kind of the co-headlining situation I'm talking about. They did see Sunday as that last year, so I think it's possible they could try to do a day or maybe even two of next year kind of like that.
Well, I also think they're trying to make Sunday a smaller day for traffic
Yeah.
reasons to some degree.
Have a jam band close it then.
Yeah, I mean, jam is on its way down. People don't want to hear that. I did a
You
whole
hush your
like
mouth.
electronic versus jam thing on my last episode here. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna do that
know.
again.
We've been there.
But what I was getting at with someone like Rufus is I don't even think they're debatably like a co-headline situation if they were to be booked. I think if they're booked, they're a headliner.
Yeah, I think so
I
too.
think it's some of those artists where like people might not recognize them as a true headliner yet. That I would, Hosier at this point, like I think is a little overbilled, but probably is just a headliner because I've just seen them on so many lineups at this point.
Yeah. It's a bit of a
so-
problem, and Brad mentioned this a number of times on our podcast and on on Discord last year. And he's taking that other gig now, but a lot of the booking is going to remain the same even with new people taking over his job. They struggle to find headliners these days because the unquestionable headliners, like we were just talking about, have gotten crazy expensive or would rather
Mhm.
do stadium tours because it makes more money for them. So they have to grow headliners.
Or even like
They have-
5 or 6 arena shows.
Yeah. So they have to like have an artist that's a bit of a stretch, like Hosier, like you were just talking about. They have to kind of
Well,
like create
don't-
headliners, so to speak.
I don't think Paul McCartney is as much of a stretch as like the What podcast people act like they are. Like,
You really think so?
I mean, well, okay, so yes, his tickets are expensive. I think he's only a stretch because of financial constraints that are
Yeah.
specific to this year. Like, I think if they wanted to, I mean, this was never said publicly, but Brad said, well, it was said publicly in a Discord channel that they made like a $9 or $10 million offer for an artist a couple years ago.
Yeah. I
There's
think
no way
some
Paul McCartney's
people-
that much. Like,
Some people
he's
may
just
have
not.
deduced that was
Coldplay.
potentially Talking Heads a couple years
Oh,
ago.
interesting. What
Yeah.
I heard deduce was Coldplay just based off of summer stadium routing. But Talking Heads would make sense as a reunion, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that, for someone, I think, McCartney's playing the Pinnacle, which is by far the smallest venue on this tour. Like, it didn't make sense that was booked instead of Bridgestone.
Yeah.
The bigger concern is like the nosebleeds were like $200 a pop. And I think those were for like non-platinum tickets. And you multiply that by 10,000 and suddenly you're over some of the bigger like headliner booking estimates that I've seen. So
Wait. So I've got a hypothetical for you. So I don't know if you had been looking at our chat that we have, but apparently Garth Brooks has come up as a possible name because he has some dates.
that's all Ryan. I haven't heard anything about Garth Brooks. Again, I've heard names thrown around. This is just too early for me to like know anyone who's been booked. The reason I keep talking about like Tame and like Rufus is just because I really want to see him there. Like,
Well, yeah.
I our first like rumor episode last year was basically a mock wish list, and this is basically like the tail end of that kind of season. Like, I'm kind of just talking out of my ass right now if I'm allowed to curse.
No. I'm going to blow smoke. You could get into this industry if you wanted to. You've been paying close attention to this stuff for a couple of years now. You have been involved with a lot of industry people. You have become an industry person along with Maddie by putting together the Wednesday lineup. So I will not let you undersell yourself, sir. You do know what you're talking about.
I mean, I do have like connections, but how many of those are like burner Reddit DMs? Like, I only know a handful of people that.
Well, that just means somebody wants you to know this stuff.
Well, sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Now,
but
Andrew, I got one last question for you as we wrap up. So the segment before this that you haven't seen yet, me and Sharla did a number of hear me out artists. So similar to like kind of the meme that you may have heard, people be like, hey, hear me out. This person is hot. We were like, hey, hear me out. This is a wild, crazy band that I would like to see that I think would fit very well. So examples of some of mine were like the Goo Goo Dolls, or Creed, or somebody like that. Can you think of an artist like that you would like to see where you have to be like, hey, hear me out. I'm going to argue for this.
I think the stubborn ones for me that would not be easy bookings or like maybe fit the type of artist that Rue is going for are like random bands that are on obscure labels or have like a weird agent or something like that. Except for one named Tame Impala. Hear me out. You should book them regardless of how much they cost.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
No, I mean, I think like Todd Thierry, I kept bringing up last year. He played a random festival in like Chicago, like 2 weeks after Rue for the first time in a year and a half. He'll play a US Fest every year or two. That's one. Just throw it out there. I mean, you're not gonna like do it as a favor for any agent, but I just really want to see him. And he tends to only do festivals. So he did Portola and a random Chicago festival I already forgot the name of, but book him.
Yeah.
I'm really into Black Moss Super Rainbow right now, so I'm gonna throw that one out there.
I like them too. Yeah.
Yeah. Visually, they're doing like 300 cap venues. In fact, they're playing the same venue as Confidence Man played in Atlanta. They have like 2 layers of visuals. Visually, it is one of the craziest shows that like you'll ever see, and they're very it would go so crazy in like a late night tent set, like not the main tent set, but like the latest tent set there
like
is
3 a.m.
Yeah, put them in like a 3 a.m. tent slot, and because they have not only like an LED screen in the back, but then in front of that they have like a projector screen, and they like layer the visuals on top. It's so cool. Anyway,
if we're gonna do that, and if we do get Tame next year, you have to create the lane, as Barry always talks about in the What podcast. So stuff like that, Flaming Lips, Psychedelic Porn Crumpets, Pond, like just have like 2 full days of the psych rock like me and you love. Like, I feel like maybe it wouldn't sell all the tickets, but it would sell a good chunk of tickets.
Yeah, I mean, I think, with Tame, especially, like just that's kind of where I'm going with my mock, is just like supporting them. So like either have LCD or Flaming Lips be late night, in my opinion, because having like LCD swap kind of places with Tame compared to 2016, because this is gonna be kind of like the 10th anniversary of that. LCD was the headliner. Now they could be like the number 2 or 3 on the day, and be in the late night slot, and Tame could be the headliner. I think that would be like a really cool like throwback.
You should have been there that Friday night in 2016, man. You would have had the best night of your life too. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
We went from M83 to LCD to Tame that night. Best night of my life. No question.
Yeah. But going back to McCartney though, like I like, yes, he would easily be the most expensive headliner, but I don't think he's a Radiohead or a Coldplay that are probably just a little too expensive. I think
now, I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't see Radiohead as totally impossible for next year. Like, they're very room friendly.
I don't either. Brad just said something that acted like we should not put too much stock into them, and maybe that's just keeping expectations in check. But his thing was more like, we have the money to do it, but will we get the return on investment? And if it's in the midst of a stadium tour, they might not feel like they could. just because it does seem like they're the type of artist to not really like do a couple one-off dates. And I should throw out some other artists that are definitely way too expensive. Like, do not count on Oasis being there. Lady Gaga is probably just a little too expensive as much as I want to see her. Like, once you get those multiple arena dates, that's where it gets a little questionable. But I do think it's at least possible. So, she'd be in my top 3, like pushing the limits of the budget request that I would have, but I do think she's pushing it.
I can tell you without giving away too much, she has been somebody that I have heard they have at least had early discussions with, not for this year, but in years past where obviously it didn't work out,
Yeah, and I mean, I like clearly I've heard the same thing. So like clearly there's been enough discussion to make it possible. And with all these dates being added on, maybe she just wants to tour for a couple years and isn't doing stadiums because she wants to just perform more. And in that case, maybe her booking rate drops a little bit. I don't think it's impossible. I think she would easily be the biggest headliner. I would worry about the rest of the lineup, but I think I think it's possible that we could see her. I wouldn't say it's like someone that is in the normal confines of artist I would expect to headline Bonnaroo.
I agree.
You would see the rest of the lineup kind of be hurting a little bit. And that's probably less true to a lesser extent of McCartney. McCartney's not doing 3 and 4 shows in the same city like Gaga is. He's doing 2, and his tickets are a little more expensive, but not a whole lot. Like I think Gaga is a more expensive booking than McCartney probably is. I would kind of put Sabrina Carpenter as kind of the new Ariana Grande in terms of like artists that are pushing their limit of how much longer you can book them. So maybe if they don't get Olivia Rodrigo, you could see someone like a Sabrina. But again, these are kind of I haven't really seen booking rates, but just based off of vibes, like how their arena shows sell, I just have to imagine they're kind of on the upper limit of someone we could see, especially on a budget constrained year. But I like throwing out these names because it puts pressure on bookers to kind of negotiate. So
No, that's a good point. Well, Andrew, thank you for getting everybody up to speed today, not only for how it works for you guys with the confirmation thread, but also giving us a realistic look at what's possible and maybe not so possible for next year. I know this is a big lineup that's going to come out eventually for everybody in terms of like getting everybody back to the farm. And I'm glad that we can have these conversations and kind of hold feet to the fire, so to speak, for getting Tame and other artists that we all want to see there to get us back there. So Andrew, go Jackets.
I'll leave it with this, which is if you have to overpay for Tame, overpay for Tame.
Well, I agree. I'm not going to argue that. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to support you in saying that. But yeah, thank you, Andrew. I'll be back your way before too long. We'll go back to Mr. C's. We got to find another bar. We've been there so many times. We got to find another place to go haunt.
You've been there twice. Come on.
I've been there 3 times. No, that was 3.
I've only been with you maybe twice now, actually.
No, because the first time
I came, only once.
We went over there before we went to a Braves game. You were out of town or doing something else. We went over there and then went to the ball game. So yes, 3 for me. But yeah, those wings, that's free plug. Those wings that you got at Mr. C's last time were some of the best I've ever had. That was amazing.
They're the best frozen wings I've ever had.
You didn't have to tell me it was frozen. I didn't need to know that. You ruined it.
They're the best frozen wings I've ever had.
You ruined it. Now I can never have it again.
It's a crappy dive. It's not a crappy dive bar. It is a dive bar with a kitchen that they remodeled recently because the old one was looking so crappy.
Yeah. So, well, I have come to love it.
One of the bartenders refuses to eat there.
I didn't know that. All right. Well, I'll be back over there with you and Maddie and Shayna before too long. All right, man. Have fun at Shaky. I know you're going to make it. We'll see you soon.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. So, again, we don't know for sure who is going to be there. Just kind of wanted to get a good idea. So, do pay attention to that thread on Reddit. What else has been happening on Reddit? You're more active than me as a moderator. Has it been kind of slow recently?
Right now it is our slow season. It's just mostly right now people starting to talk about who they want to see next year.
Oh, well, I'm glad we can be here to help out with that, I suppose. All right, so Sharla, we should go ahead and thank our Patreons. A lot has been going on recently. Thank you to everybody for your help with everything that we're doing with Totem. We're starting to slowly crank things back up. So as you heard, we're going to have that event in Huntsville this week. I have heard that Perhaps we'll be having events in New York and Atlanta before too long, so we hope we can see you out, hang out with other Ruvians, kind of hear about what we're doing with Totem, and find out what you can do to help out. But the people who have really been helping out are Patreons. You want to list them, Sharla?
Olivia, Claire, Flossie and Benji, John, Lexi, Danny, Lisa, Butter, Crew, Nick, Delaney, John with the Texas Roo Crew, Brady, I Am Rave Dad, Courtney, Casey with the Texas Roo Crew, Christy, Charmel, Jums, David and Aurora, Stringbean, Zach and Jeremy, Amber, Andrea, JB, Sam, Austin, James, Hygiene Queen, Chris and Shy, Dan, Ernst, Harris, Keith, Casey, Andrew, Nick, Maddie, Bruce, Andrew, Kent, Randy, Madison, Bosco, Eric and Ben, Evan, Chloe, and Sean.
Thank you, everyone. Of course, as always, you can find us at patreon.com/Rubus, and you can learn more about Totem at totemfnd.org. I couldn't help but notice that you ran through those a lot quicker than usual.
Now I know how to pronounce all the names.
Yeah, well, we have been going through those. We have had some new people on in the past couple of months. Thank you very much. I hope that scrolly thing is still working correctly. We want to make sure that your name is on video as well. Hey, one last thing I want to talk with everybody about. You probably know already. It has been a weird week, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's been a tough, stressful week. There has been some stuff happening in the country that is making it very stressful for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. And I want to talk for a minute about what it means to get out there and radiate positivity. We always say that at the end of every show. I want to preface that by saying something that is a little transparent. So Sharla and I, obviously, as you may have heard, live in North Alabama. Huntsville's a little different, but otherwise, this is Alabama. I need not say more. We don't exactly fit in everywhere around here. Sometimes it's a little tough for me when I go into places and I know that the stuff that is important to me isn't as important to others.
Right.
It gets a little stressful, feeling like you're isolated or whatever. It is super helpful to have our Roo community where we can talk comfortably amongst one another. But I also feel like it's really important to have your offline community. Obviously, we're offline when we're in person. Many of us are in the same cities and see each other routinely. But in large part, a lot of us that are in the Roo community talk online throughout the year. The Reddit, for example, Discords, things like that. I feel like it's important to be involved in your community. I personally am going to try to make an effort to not feel withdrawn when I'm in those situations like I talked about. I'm going to try to see how I can connect with people even if I don't feel like there's a lot that we share common ground on. You know what I'm saying?
Right, I agree.
And it's tough. A lot of us in this age range, if you're watching this, you probably are within the age range. Me and Charles are on the older side these days, but that's okay. Let's just say college age to our age is the range of people that are watching this going to Bonnaroo. We've been through a lot. If you're our age, you were in class when 9/11 happened. The anniversary was this past week. If you're a little older, you might remember something like the Oklahoma City thing. All of us remember things like what happened in Charlottesville or what happened in the Capitol in January a couple of years ago. And even aside from that, we remember things like, financial collapses, unprecedented eras during COVID. Y'all, we've been through it. And it's tough, man. And right now is a weird time where a lot of people that don't have as loud of a voice or as many people in their community may feel like they're being drowned out. I especially have a lot of love and empathy for the trans community in the past week. Their names have been dragged through the mud in ways that are completely abhorrent. And I just want you guys to know, if you are in that community or if you are an ally like this, you deserve love. We love you. You have a home at Bonnaroo. Please don't let the conversation on Twitter or wherever it may be in the national discourse get you down. You have friends and family at Roo, and we will always have your back. And for everybody that's stressed out about this past week, tune out. My advice is to just drop out. Well, not in a Ken Casey kind of way, but put all your social media on silent. Get out of that. Talk to your friends in your community. Go out and have fun with them. Go to safe places like these Rue Discords and stuff like that. Talk with people that you know are your friends and family, but also connect with people in your community. It's tough, given what we all have gone through, what the country is going through, to feel like we are so isolated from one another. So I encourage everybody, as we say every week, to get out there and radiate positivity for others. This is my homework for you. Try to connect with somebody in the next week or two that you wouldn't have otherwise. See what you have common ground about. Maybe it's a band. Maybe it's a TV show. Maybe it's like Dungeons and Dragons. I'm looking at you, JB. All kind of different things. There's more I could say, but I'm going to choose not to. It's been a tough week. It's been stressful. But we all have each other in this Rue community. Let's expand it. Even the people who don't want to go to Bonnaroo, they're not big on camping. Like, the feeling that we have every June could be every day if we choose for it to be. I know it's tough, especially when you are in a situation where not everybody shares your same values, but it still can be done. And I feel like we've got to do more of that to expand how we feel about one another to the rest of our actual communities, not just the online communities. I hope I'm not ranting. Do you have any thoughts on all that?
I think you summed it up perfectly, Daniel.
Yeah. Sharla just drank half of the beatbox. So I really wanted to get your thoughts on
I've only taken like 2 sips of this beatbox, honestly.
All right. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Again, if this past week has stressed you out, if you feel isolated, you have a home with everybody that you know at Rue. And again, my homework for each of you, try to connect with somebody that you might not normally have. Find out what you have in common, whether it be a band, video game, show, movie, whatever. It can be done. I'm going to do it too. We'll report back. I want to hear your comments on it as well. Anyways, that's it for this week, right? Mm-hmm. Thank you to Andrew and everybody working on the confirmation thread. Thank you to you for putting this whole ridiculous cake thing together.
Yes.
Thank you to our Patreons for supporting us as we kind of expand into video and everything. And again, I hope to see you out at Campus 805 this Thursday if you're in the Huntsville area. We're going to have our totem meetup right after Sack Squatch is done. It's going to be a grand old time. Hope to see you there. So again, I hope this means a little something extra this week. Get out there and radiate positivity. We'll see you soon.
Bye.